What's up guys, DMJR here, and in today's video, we're gonna do a comparison video between the Plunge XL Sauna and the Sisu Crew Cabin Sauna. These are two of the most purchased home saunas in the United States of America, and I think I owe it to you to compare both of them since I do have both of them in my backyard. So let's get into it. Starting with the price. Now retail, at time of shooting this video, the Plunge XL Sauna is listed at $13,990. And the Sisu Crew Cabin Sauna is listed at $12,995. Now these are both the largest and most expensive options that both Plunge and Sisu have to offer. I will have links to both of them in the video description, and I'll have them pop up on screen so that you have easy access if you're watching on a television. But Plunge does have less expensive sauna options, and Sisu does as well. But in today's video, we're gonna focus primarily on the larger saunas because they are the most purchased home saunas in the USA. However, I do wanna point out that when we're talking about price, there's a lot more to consider than just what you see online. Because if you were to buy the sauna today using my discount code, which is MAUS, the Plunge XL Sauna is actually cheaper. It's currently listed on sale at $11,159. If you use discount code MOS, that also stacks. And the Sisu Crew Cabin Sauna is currently listed at $12,445 using discount code MOS, that's MAUS. But it doesn't just stop there. You see, there is gonna be a shipping cost, and there is gonna be cost to assemble if you don't plan on doing it yourself. And assembling these saunas isn't just putting some wood and screws together. You're also gonna have to consider having a licensed electrician bring the electricity to code so you can power up your sauna. Now, since both of these saunas are the largest of the saunas, they both require the largest amount of power, which is 50 amps using a 240 volt. However, there is one more thing you need to know, and it's kind of a benefit leaning towards Plunge, and that's that the Plunge XL Sauna already comes with the heater and the power connections included and installed on the sauna. Meaning all you're gonna have to do is have a licensed electrician bring 50 amps to wherever you decide to place your sauna and simply plug it in. Whereas when I installed the Sisu Crew Cabin Sauna, I had to have a licensed electrician come out, run the power to the sauna, and also install the heater and all the components that go with that. The price of installing this is gonna vary depending on where you live and what the current electrician labor rate is, but that alone could save you thousands leaning towards Plunge. Some pretty cool similarities between both is both of them do require 50 amps like we talked about. The price is somewhat similar like we talked about, and both of them use totally different heaters that are capable of reaching temperatures of 230 degrees Fahrenheit. Though it is not recommended to crank your Sisu Crew Cabin Sauna up to 230 because it would scorch your head, and we'll talk about that as I get inside it. So Plunge currently uses a home heater which can get up to 230 degrees, and it is controlled by the Plunge app. Sisu has upgraded to the Homecraft heater, which is absolutely insane, also reaches temperatures of 230 degrees and is also controlled by an app. The good news is, for those of you who are putting your sauna somewhere where you don't have Wi-Fi and you only have electricity, don't worry, you can override using the app with both of them and simply just use the dial that comes with the sauna. But for those of you who are tech savvy and do plan on connecting these to an app, both of them can connect to an app and be controlled by that. Now let's switch gears and talk about some of the key differences between both. And the first one being that the Plunge XL Sauna is rated for up to 7 people, and the Sisu Crew Cabin Sauna is rated for up to 6 people. Though I have had more people and less people in both saunas, and the experience is great either way. And let's take a closer look at the seating arrangements. So the Plunge Sauna has 2 benches that stretch across the entire width of the sauna with a slanted back, and both benches can fold up so you have the entire floor to do stretching or yoga in the sauna if you decide to do so. They also made the door wide enough on the sauna to bring in an assault bike if you want to do some cardio in a hot sauna. I haven't done that, but it is an option, and I know there's a few people out there who do. Now, when we're sitting in this sauna, typically everybody sits with their back against the backrest and their feet down on the lower bench. It does say it's rated for up to 7 people. We typically have 4 to 5 adults on the top bench, and if we do have more people, they'll typically just stand on the floor, but you can sit on the lower bench as well. The only thing is, it's a lot less intense of a heat down there, so typically we'll put the kids down there if there's kids in here doing a session with us. But when it comes to a session with a lot of adults, a lot of times you'll have people sitting on the bench up top and then standing as well. I do want to point out one thing in here before we jump over to the Sisu. And that's this right here. You see, this is the thermometer. This tells the thermostat outside, which is what you set your temperature to, that it has reached the temperature and what temperature it is in the sauna. The only thing I've realized is that because this has a slanted roof as well, which has benefits because it gives you a very beautiful view, The problem is heat rises, and because the thermometer is higher than my head and there's still room up top, the heat up there might be a lot hotter than it is where my body is, and I want more heat here. So the only thing I wish that Plunge could do is bring this thermometer down a little bit, maybe to the eyesight of the average 6-foot person. That way the temperature here at my head is what I've set my temperature to. I don't recommend ever cranking your temperature to 230 because it will be intense, like too intense. Now you'll see the seating in the Sisu Crew Cabin Sauna is a large L-shaped benched. So it makes it extremely comfortable if you have less people in here. But the one thing is when you have large groups in here, there's always one person shoved in that corner right there where they don't have a lot of room for their legs. So this is a really comfortable sauna with maybe 5 people in it, just like the Plunge is a really comfortable sauna with more like 5 people, but there is a lot more standing room in that sauna. This sauna, there's not a ton of standing room. So I would say if you have large sauna parties, this may not be the best route for you. But honestly, the Plunge sauna isn't much better. If you plan on having like 10 plus people, you probably want to build your own custom sauna. But assuming that's not you, let's talk about the key differences inside here. So the benches inside the Sisu Crew Cabin Sauna are much wider, and I believe they're a lot sturdier. Like I can jump up and get up on this bench and it doesn't creak or move or anything like that. Sometimes when I get into the Plunge sauna, because the way it all fits in, sometimes it feels like the bench slides a little bit because the bench can be removed. The bench can be folded up. So it's not a bad thing. I've never felt like the bench is gonna break, but I will say that when I have larger friends coming in here, like muscle-bound dudes, getting into the Sisu sauna feels just a little bit more comfortable, like I'm not gonna break it. And like we were talking about in the Plunge sauna, the thermometer in the Sisu sauna is right at my eye level. I'm not a very tall person, but you can see that the ceiling, the roof is completely flat in the sauna. There's no higher pockets, so there's nowhere for the hotter air to kind of get trapped. The hotter air reaches pretty much right where your head is. And that's why I would never recommend cranking the sauna up to over 195 degrees. I typically have mine set to 190, and the heat is extremely intense. The heat in both is great. You're gonna have the same awesome experience in both as far as the heat goes. But you're not gonna wanna set this sauna as hot as you're probably gonna set the Plunge sauna to. And that's why it's super important to wear one of these hats in either sauna, because we're talking a traditional heat. This is a hot external temperature. This isn't an infrared sauna where it's using light frequencies to heat your body up from the inside. This is traditional heat. The air in the sauna is getting very, very hot, and it starts with your skin, it starts with your eyes, your nose, your breathing. And I would highly recommend get yourself a cheap little sauna hat. You can get them on Amazon. Sisu and Plunge both sell them on their websites as well. Because when you're in these saunas, the heat rises. Your head and your hair are sensitive to heat more so than the rest of your body, and it's the highest part of your body. So definitely opt for a sauna hat anytime you're gonna use either of these saunas, and anytime you're getting into a sauna over 170 degrees. Now, another thing to point out is both of these saunas use traditional heaters with rocks on the heater, and those are designed to help move the heat out at your body, but also you can take these little ladles and pour water on the rocks and create steam. That brings humidity into a sauna. And another little tip is with either of these saunas, when you have the temperature really, really hot in there, putting water on the rocks can make it so intense that it might even burn your skin. So just be extremely careful. Make sure you don't have a bunch of goofy friends that come in like I do and crank the sauna up to the max and then pour water on the rocks. Like, it can hurt your eyes, it can hurt your nose, it can hurt your skin. It can be really, really intense. And if you are gonna do that, make sure that you have the temperature a little bit lower, or put water on the rocks a little bit earlier in the session, or open the door and allow that humidity to just kind of hit your skin but also escape, because it can be really, really intense. If your top consideration for Plunge is because it has a slanted back, just know that this also has a slanted back rest. It's not the same effect, but gives you a similar experience. Now let's switch gears completely and talk about build quality and assembly, because if you're gonna be assembling the sauna, you're gonna want to know what you're getting yourself into. So I'm super blessed. I've had the unique opportunity to go and visit both factories. I've literally seen where both of these saunas are assembled and built, which is amazing. Contrary to what people might think, I think a lot of people might read Reddit reviews and people's random opinions, and they might think that these saunas are just prefabricated and shipped over here from China, which is not the case. I've literally seen the hands building both of these saunas, and both happen in the USA, which is cool. Some key differences: the Plunge is assembled in California and Sisu is assembled in Ohio. Sisu is assembled by the Amish, and if you know the Amish, they take woodworking very, very seriously. Not to say that one is better than the other, but there is some differences that I think you're gonna wanna know. And first, let's start with the Plunge. So when you do assemble this, when you get this shipped to your house, both are gonna come on a very large crate. The Plunge is gonna come almost in pre-assembled panels. It's pretty easy to put together as long as you have a friend. You're gonna start with the base, you're gonna put up the front, which the door is already assembled, all of the wood is already assembled on the panels, and then you basically walk yourself around, tighten everything up, and then put the roof on. It does have a weatherproof roof, which comes standard on the Plunge XL Sauna. The sauna is built out of cedar and does have beautiful glass on the front. That's one of the key differentiators between the Plunge XL Sauna and a lot of the other saunas on the market, is it has a lot of glass. So aesthetically, it is a beautiful sauna. Functionally, it works great. And when you're inside that sauna and you have a view you want to look at, there's nothing that really compares. The glass is huge and the views are beautiful. Assembling this took me about 3 hours with a friend, and then we just had to have an electrician run power out to it and plug it right in. If you notice, my plug doesn't have anything in because I wanted to have this hardwired, which I did, but just know you can just opt for the plug and plug it straight in. The floor on this sauna is a rubber, and I know that might be concerning a few people because of like off-gassing and stuff. Just know that the heat down at the floor never gets hot. Another thing to point out while I'm outside is you probably noticed that the wood on this is turning kind of gray. I live in Florida. I've never treated any of my saunas. I don't plan on ever treating any of my saunas. So what you see is what will happen. Wood can weather, especially if you live in Florida or a hot climate. I get a lot of rain, I get a lot of sun here. It's currently going through its little Florida winter, so we've had some random cool mornings and then they get hot. Yeah, that's just what we're dealing with. But the wood on both saunas outside will weather if you don't seal it. And I don't really recommend sealing them myself, but do what makes sense for you. So here's the one slight concern I've noticed with the Plunge sauna, and it hasn't affected how it's worked and it hasn't been a safety hazard or anything. But you can see when the weather does change, wood will like expand and contract, especially as it gets wet and gets heated and the air gets cold. It's kind of like the air in our tires. But every once in a while, I'll see a little bit of a gap. You can kind of see that gap right there where the sun's kind of shining through. And that's the only thing that I don't love, is that there is a gap right there. I've tightened everything down as tight as I can get it, and the gap hasn't really gone away. I've gotten it tighter, but then as soon as it like rains and gets cold again, the gap shows up again. So that is the only somewhat downside. And this is one of the original Plunge saunas, so I'm sure with everything they do, every iteration just gets a little bit better. But on my sauna, I figured I'd point that out so you knew. I don't know if this is gonna be something you're gonna have to worry about if you're getting one now, but it is something that I've had to worry about, and I figured I'd point it out. But I can't talk about one slight concern without talking about something that is pretty cool. This big strip that goes down the entire side of the sauna is an LED light, and you can adjust that light to whatever color you want. We typically keep it off. We like being out here in the dark, but when we do turn it on, we like to turn it red, especially when we're sauning at night, keeping our circadian rhythm dialed in. But if you want to go crazy, you can make it blue, green, purple, whatever you want. It's got lights that go all the way across and lights up the entire sauna, and it is such a vibe. Now let's talk about the door. The door on this sauna is huge. Let me just pan you up there, right? And the door opens up all the way to the top. So if, you know, LeBron James or Dwight Howard wanted to come sauna, they wouldn't have to duck to get in. It's also got a much wider opening. So if you're a larger person and you're trying to get in and out of this sauna, you can get in and out of the sauna easily. There's not a big step to step over. The roof is nice and tall, the door is nice and wide, and it's really easy to get in. To kind of talk about the possible concern, well, aren't you letting all your hot air out? Remember, wood conducts heat. That's the cool thing. That's why saunas are built out of wood and not plastic. Well, there's probably a lot of other reasons that's the case. But when you heat this up, the wood holds in the heat. It's not necessarily the air. And in my experience, having great ventilation throughout saunas and letting fresh air in is important. It's a huge part of the sauna process. So don't be afraid when you open the door and let the hot air out. It'll get just as hot, super duper quick. And honestly, like, we love opening the door and letting fresh air in. It feels right. So I've had my plunge sauna out here for well over a year. The Sisu sauna I've had almost a year. I think I'm coming up on my year anniversary. So you can also tell how the wood is starting to turn kind of gray. It's getting that weathered Florida washed wood look. And honestly, I like the look. I don't hate it. I don't really care to have super bright brown wood. So it looks great and it's working out great. I mentioned on the plunge sauna, it has a weatherproof roof. The Sisu sauna also has a weatherproof roof. It's built a little bit differently. Both are working great, keeping the water and the debris and everything out of my saunas, but the look is just a little bit different. Where on the plunge sauna, you have that black kind of like rubbery look. The Sisu sauna has wood slats. It kind of has more of that traditional sauna look. So if you're looking for a more of a traditional cabin style sauna, the Sisu might be right up your alley. If you're looking for something a little more aesthetically pleasing and just different, I think plunge might be the route to go. And that's typically what I say to people when they're like, which one should I get? I go over all these same differences I'm going over in this video, like in a very quick way. That's why I wanted to make a more detailed video like this. But I say, hey, which one do you like the look-wise better? Because this is a big square. We're gonna go over dimensions here in a second. That one is not. That's the biggest difference, is they just look very, very different. But there are some other subtle differences. Let's go over the build quality of Sisu. So we're gonna work our way backwards, kind of like we worked our way forwards through plunge. And let's talk about the door first. The door is much smaller on the Sisu Crew Cabin. And one of the big differences I didn't point out is the plunge sauna's door is on an automatic closing hinge, which is a good and a bad thing. A good thing meaning you can't leave the door open, so you can't let a lot of hot air out for too long. The bad thing is when my kids get out, a lot of times they just walk out the door and it slams. Nothing bad has happened, but it can slam and be kind of abrupt if you don't know it's coming. With this door, they have super powerful magnets holding the door closed when it is closed, but you can leave the door wide open. You'll also notice that the door's height, I mean, I'm standing flat. I can step up and into this, but it is a little bit lower and it is a little bit more narrow. I did hear Jelly Roll bought a Sisu sauna. I think he used discount code MOSS. If you did, Jelly, awesome, thank you. But I did hear because he was larger when he got it, they had to make the door a little bit larger, a little bit wider. So they made a custom door for him. That tells me that the door is pretty narrow. And they made it narrow so that they could still have these two beautiful panels of glass and the nice glass in the middle of the door. So you still do have a great view and great visibility out of this sauna, but it is smaller and a little bit tighter and a little bit more traditional than the plunge sauna. You're also gonna have a little bit more of a step up. We have had people hit their toes stepping in and out of this. So you're gonna have a little bit more of a step up to get into and out of the sauna. But here's where Sisu really takes the cake. I have never been in a sauna built like a Sisu sauna. If you want something that is just sealed, super tight, built by the Amish, and is gonna last you more than likely 10 plus years, this might be the sauna to choose. Now when it came in a big box crate, very similar assembly to a normal traditional sauna if you've ever built one. You're gonna have to put up a lot of slats individually, and inside each of these slats, inside each of these solid pieces of cedar, Idaho cedar I'd have to add, there's a little strip of wood that connects inside both of them. And I think the best place to point that out is like right here. So like I said, the weather's been weird. You can see a large gap in this wood right here. Large gap, my finger can fit in it, but you can't see outside. You see in previous generations of Sisu sauna, I have friends who bought like some of the originals, you could see outside. You could literally see straight back to the wall right there because the wood is kind of shrinking up a little bit. But they've put this piece of wood in between each and every one of these pieces of wood, and that fills in the gaps. So it gives the wood the chance to expand and contract without losing stability and losing all of your heat. Like I don't see any outside anywhere in this sauna, which is great. Long term, I feel like this sauna is gonna stand here and last for a long, long time. I don't see there being any problems with this at all. There's nothing I have to tighten. Everything is tight, everything is nice, but I'm impressed because I've been in a lot of saunas, like even really, really well built custom saunas, and you always have gapping. Like what I was showing you in the plunge sauna, that's pretty common on a lot of saunas. There's always gonna be some sort of gapping. That's why barrel saunas have that metal strip that goes around the entire sauna, and you are supposed to tighten that up like all the time, because the sauna is going to just expand and contract as it's used and as it's weathering and as it gets wet and as the weather changes. So Sisu does a phenomenal job with their build quality. I mean, I've been to the factory twice. I've got to see the people putting them together. Like even where all of the little knots in the wood are, like these are sanded down, filled in with a non-toxic fill, sanded down. It's like so well done. So Sisu, you guys are crushing it on the build quality, and you keep making it better. Like I heard the last time I went, after I got this sauna and visited the factory, there's even more changes that have just constantly made improvements in the overall build quality, shipping, and assembly of this. So great job with that. You guys are crushing it. And I think that's absolutely awesome. But assembly on this is a learning curve. It is gonna take you some time. You're gonna definitely want some friends, and you're gonna wanna plan on your entire afternoon. Like you're probably gonna need a good 4 to 6 hours to assemble this. And then you're also gonna have to book having an electrician come and completely install everything. Install the heater and connect it. And it has to be hard connected, 50 amps. It's gonna require dedicated outlet. Both are gonna require that 240 volt, 50 amp dedicated breaker. So you will need a licensed electrician no matter which one you go with, but it is just a little bit more of a process on the Sisu because that electrician also has to completely install the heater. It's not that much additional work, but it is additional work and they are gonna charge you for it. So just be prepared. And Sisu does not come with any lights at all. So you won't have any lights or any technology in this thing. You will be able to connect the heater through the Hoom app to the Hoom app, so you can turn the heater on from your phone, but that's about it. I had Pete here recently and he showed me how to, Pete's the founder of Sisu, and he showed me how to install, he actually helped me install some lights. So I have some really sexy lights that come on at night automatically, gives it a really nice ambiance. Highly recommend it. I have a full video on how we did that on my channel. I'll have that linked down in the video description if you want to see how to install lights. Very easy process, costs less than 50 bucks. They don't come with them and it is a little bit of a process if you want to add them. And you need to make sure if you are going to add them that you use the right kind because it's going to get really hot in here and you want to make sure that your lights don't melt. So I added a few things, like I added these hooks on the outside of the sauna. I added a couple hooks on the inside too to hang the sauna hats. But I want to also talk about just how to use these. So if you're not using the app is its own thing, and just I'll make videos on that if you need help. But you basically walk up here, both of them the exact same. You press the dial, it turns on this little home base. If you have it connected to Wi-Fi, it'll show you that. I have it set to 194. It's currently showing it's currently showing 95 degrees in there. If I want to turn it on, all I do is press the button again, and you'll see 3 little flames. You'll hear it click on, and now the power is on. So this will typically take between 30 minutes and 45 minutes to get to pretty close to the set temperature. Both saunas are very similar. Both saunas heat up really, really fast. So one doesn't outpace the other here. Both of them get really hot in about the same amount of time. So there's no clear winner when it comes to that, but that's how easy it is to change. If you want to change the temperature, you literally just rotate it left, rotate it right. And I have mine to where I can't even set it over 194 because I don't want my kids or a friend to come over here and jack this thing up and hurt each other. But you can if you want to. I just don't recommend it. Now let's talk about the dimensions, because dimensions are gonna matter. You're gonna have to plan where you want this sauna to be. Before you even order it, you need to figure out where you're putting it. A couple things you're gonna wanna know is they need to be on a level surface. And the surface needs to be able to hold, I would say, roughly 2,000 pounds. If you're building a deck, make sure it's a strong deck. You're gonna have a bunch of people inside a heavy box of wood. You do not want that to break. That would suck, right? And as far as dimensions go, let's talk about the Plunge XL Sauna first. So this sauna behind me is 7 foot 8 inches wide. It's a beast. It's wider than it is deep. As far as the depth goes, it's 5 feet 11 inches. And as far as the height goes, it's 7 feet 11 inches tall. So definitely make sure you have enough room and it's level and it's stable before you order one of these saunas. And now let's compare that to the Sisu Crew Cabin Sauna, which is 6 feet 11 inches wide, 6 feet deep. So it's 6 feet flat deep, and it's 6 feet 11 inches tall. That's why it looks like a big square or a big cube, but it is less deep than it is tall and wide. And like I was saying earlier, make sure you have a nice flat level surface that's stable and able to hold all that weight. The cool thing is with the Crew Cabin Sauna, it does have a completely flat back and there's nothing back there that you need to access. So you can slide it pretty much all the way against your house or a wall or a garage wall or something like that. You can have both of these saunas indoors or outdoors or under a patio. That's the cool thing about these saunas. They're built so well that you can put them pretty much anywhere. They're able to withstand heat. They're able to withstand cold. They're able to be in the snow. And that's the cool thing about a sauna is I live in Florida. It's always hot there. People are like, dude, don't you live in a sauna? Yeah, but living in a sauna like Florida and Arizona and using a sauna are very, very different. And I love using a sauna. And as you can see, the back of the Plunge sauna, because the back is slanted, it isn't flat back there. So if I had this against a wall or something, I'd have this random gap that I don't know what I could use it for. Like there's nothing back there. So, I mean, it's cool. Like I love how it looks here because it backs up to my garden. So it just looks pretty sick. Like it has a really cool look. But if I was putting it in a garage or putting it in a house, I feel like there would be some wasted space back there. So that's just something for you to consider. And so we've gone over a lot in this video, and now we come down to it. Which one is the clear winner? Well, that's not up for me to decide. That's up for you to decide. My goal in this video is to give you all the facts, lay out all the pros and the cons of both of these saunas so you can make the best decision for yourself. And regardless which one you decide to go with, you can use the links on this video to support this channel, and you can use my discount code, that's MAUS, M-A-U-S, and it'll save you an exclusive discount off of both of these saunas, all of their accessories, and everything else that they offer. And whether you decide to do that or not, I want you to know I appreciate you for watching this video. I hope this video gave you some value. I hope it helped you make the right decision. Maybe these saunas aren't even the saunas you're considering. Maybe there's another option out there. If there is another option out there you want me to review or do a comparison to, please let me know down in the comments below. This is kind of my first test in doing some comparison videos. I try to put all the information out there to help you make the best decision, but I do realize there are a lot of people out there that compare certain things more likely than others. And this is one of them. I get requests to do a comparison video or asked which one is the best, which one would you do? And it's hard for me to answer because I think both of them are really, really great. They're both pretty different and they're both pretty similar in a lot of ways. So it's not up to me to tell you which one to buy. I never want to do that. I just want to give you the information so you can make that decision for yourself. And if there are other saunas or if there are other cold plunges that you want me to review or do comparisons to, like I said, please let me know down in the comments below and I'll schedule getting those done for you. But either way, I appreciate you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, my friends, and God bless. And speaking of next video, I'm gonna have a couple videos pop up right here. I'm gonna have the full review of the Sisu sauna pop up here, and I'm gonna have the full review of the Plunge sauna pop up here. I'll see you over there.